Thank you, Mohnish. I was wondering back to the investment, if you could talk about your stake that you took in Google a few years ago, kind of through the prism of what you told us today, what brought you to it, and then why you pulled it up.
Yeah, I think Google is a very interesting company because Google is a company that can make its revenues and its cash flows whatever it wants it to be. Um, uh, Very few companies are in that circumstance. So the overwhelming majority of the products and services that Google provides to us, it provides to us at no cost. I mean, it doesn't even monetize those products. It just provides it without monetization. And they can turn on monetization engines on a variety of products at will, I think. In fact, the history of the company is really interesting because I find it really interesting that this is a company that when it was founded, uh, the founders had no revenue model. They had no idea how Google would ever make money. Surprisingly, the investors who invested also didn't understand how this thing would make money, and they still invested in the company. And eventually, the revenue model was not even figured out by the founders. It was figured out by one of the guys they'd hired, and this guy was not hired to figure out the revenue model. He was he was told after I think a few months or maybe a year or so on the job, oh, by the way, can you figure out how we can make money? And he went off to figure it out, and he came back with AdWords, and they were off to the races. So AdWords, which is responsible for a large portion of Google's revenues today, was not understood as a way to monetize by the founders when they founded the company or even after that. So similarly, I mean, if you look at like when they bought Waze, the Israeli company that all of us use, um, there was no revenue model. Waze was just providing directions without, and they when Google bought it, and even for a while when they ran it for free. It was actually a loss because they had no monetization. And now, of course, you see all the ads on Waze, and they figured. So I think Google is a very interesting company because I think they have a lot of flexibility in terms of what engines to turn on and and how to monetize and what to monetize and so on. They've got a lot of brain power to do it. So I really liked the business when I bought it. I think when I bought it, it was relatively modest in multiple. I think the forward earnings was in the teens, which for me is like blasphemy to invest in something trading in the teens. Uh, but even I got past that, and and it worked. I think in about 3 years we had more than doubled our money, and I had actually intended that this is such a great business that I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it forever. But then I had these PE of one show up, and I needed cash, and you know, as hard as it was, Google was history. I mean, once you have PE ones, a lot of things are going to be history. So I think Google will continue to do well. I hope they don't prove me wrong in terms of like whether the PE ones. I think the PE ones will beat what Google does over the next several years. But no, it's a great company, and I think it has a great future.